Las Vegas Raiders fans, get ready. The NFL Draft is almost here, and it's closer than ever. If you're like me, you're counting down the days. And trust me, the excitement is real. But while fans are excited, some Raiders players, not so much. Because for them, the draft could bring someone who might take their spot. Today, we're talking about 10 Las Vegas Raiders players who might be a little nervous. These are the guys who have the most to lose when the 2025 NFL Draft begins. And hey, before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. We're starting with number 10 on the list, Amari Bernie. He was picked in the 6th round back in 2023, but things have changed since then. The Raiders signed Allen Roberts and Devin White this offseason, two strong linebackers. Devin White, especially, is known for his athleticism, and that puts Bernie in a tough spot. Bernie might still help out on special teams, but as a full-time linebacker, that could be slipping away fast. If the Raiders draft another linebacker, especially in the first 5 rounds, Bernie's future with the team could be in real danger. Next, at number 9, Charles Snowden, defensive end. Right now, he's probably the 4th edge rusher on the depth chart. But the Raiders have been on the hunt for more pass-rushing power this offseason. Snowden knows that if the team picks up a new defensive end, his chances of staying on the roster might get smaller. The Raiders have been doing their homework, especially on edge rushers. Not just guys for day 2 of the draft, but even some top talents who might go in the first round. That alone puts pressure on Charles Snowden. But there's more. Snowden is already facing legal trouble. He has a court case coming up in July related to a DUI from last offseason. That kind of distraction? The Raiders don't need it. Not from a guy who's sitting at the bottom of the depth chart. It's simple. If you're the 4th or 5th edge rusher on the team and you bring off the field problems, your spot is not safe. The Raiders could easily draft a new young pass rusher and move forward without Snowden. Now, moving on to number 8. Zamir White, running back. Things aren't looking great for him either. Once considered a rising player, Zamir hasn't lived up to the expectations. Many fans who once called him Zeus now say he hasn't earned the name. And honestly, they might be right. He was a 4th-round pick under the old coaching staff. But the Raiders have moved on. They signed Raheem Mostert and drafted another running back last year. White is now facing his 3rd different coaching regime, and the fit just isn't there. Add to that, the Raiders have been scouting running backs again. If they draft one early, that could be the final push that sends Zamir out the door. He's a hard runner, no doubt. But in Chip Kelly's offense, speed, versatility, and quick decision-making are key. Unfortunately, Zamir hasn't shown enough of that. Right now, he's not just competing for playing time, he's fighting to stay on the roster. And if things don't go his way in the draft, we could see him wearing a different jersey when the season starts. Let's talk about another Raider who might be feeling the pressure. Jakorian Bennett, cornerback. He's entering his 2nd year, and while he showed flashes of talent last season, there's a big storm building around him. Why? Because the Raiders might be looking to draft a top cornerback, and that could shake up the depth chart fast. Last year, Bennett was taken in the 4th round. At the time, it looked like he had a solid path to become a starter, but now, things are different. The team brought in Eric Stokes, a strong and experienced corner, and rumors are swirling that they could pick another high-level corner early in the draft, maybe even in the 1st round. If that happens, where does Bennett stand? Let's break it down. Eric Stokes would likely lock down one starting spot. Darnay Holmes is expected to handle duties at nickel, and if a top rookie corner is drafted, Bennett could suddenly find himself sliding down the depth chart, maybe even to 4th or 5th in the cornerback rotation. That's not a position any young player wants to be in. He might still get time on special teams, but starting on defense? That dream might have to wait if the Raiders go cornerback early. And with 6 players still left on the list, the tension is only getting higher. The draft might bring in fresh talent, but for some players already on the roster, it might also bring the end of their time in the spotlight. let's keep the countdown going. We're now at number 6 on the list of Raiders with the most to lose in this draft. And this one might surprise you, Trey Tucker. Now, nobody's saying Tucker is about to get cut. That's not the issue here. But right now, he's technically the number 2 wide receiver on the Raiders roster. And that spot feels shaky. Very shaky. Look at it this way. When you list out the true offensive weapons on this team, Tucker probably falls 4th or 5th behind names like Brock Bowers, Josh Jacobs, and maybe even Michael Mayer, or Raheem Mostert. That's not a strong position if you're hoping to break out as a top wide receiver. Now let's add in the draft factor. Most people believe the Raiders are going to select a wide receiver, maybe even one of the best available. And if that happens, Tucker drops further. And if they draft 2 receivers, or sign a veteran free agent like Tyler Lockett, that could be game over for Tucker's hopes of holding that number 2 spot. To make it tougher, he's about to play under yet another new quarterback and another new coaching staff. Sure, he has potential. He's quick, has great burst, and could make noise on special teams. But this league doesn't wait on potential. Tucker has to prove right now that he belongs in the regular offensive rotation, because if he doesn't, he might get buried on the depth chart fast. And now we're entering the top 5, starting with a name that always gets people talking. We've reached number 5 on our countdown of Raiders players who could be in trouble after this draft, and it's Aiden O'Connell. Right now, he's QB2 behind Geno Smith. But let's be honest, that could change in a heartbeat. The Raiders are clearly keeping their eyes on the quarterback market and not just on the big names. They've shown interest in players like Joe Milton, who is the total opposite of Aiden O'Connell. Milton's mobile, powerful, and brings a very different style, the kind of quarterback that fits the modern game. So what does that mean for Aiden? If the Raiders go after someone like Shatter Sanders or Jackson Dart, Aiden's future in Vegas gets very cloudy. He only has 2 years left on his rookie deal, and if the front office is already eyeing a new QB to develop, that tells you a lot about where they think he stands. You can almost imagine Aiden wondering, why not me? And honestly, that's a fair question. He's played with poise, he's smart, but he's not flashy, and this league falls hard for flash. One thing's for sure, whoever the Raiders draft at quarterback will tell us everything about how much faith they truly have in O'Connell. And now, it's time to move into the top 4 players feeling the heat. Let's talk about Dylan Parham. For the past 3 seasons, he's been a familiar face on the Raiders' offensive line, a reliable starter. But this year, things might change. Parham is now entering the final year of his rookie deal, and the situation around him is shifting fast. The Raiders added veteran guard Alex Kappa, and there's rising confidence in Jordan Meredith, a name that's getting serious buzz inside the building. Here's where it gets tricky. If the Raiders decide to invest early in another offensive lineman, Parham's spot could be in danger. A draft pick at guard or tackle might mean he slides into a backup role, something he's not used to. Could he even be on the trade block during the draft? That's not out of the question. And now we turn to Darnay Holmes, the current starting nickel cornerback. If the Raiders had to suit up tomorrow, Holmes would be on the field. But that might not last long. With the team clearly targeting cornerbacks in the draft, possibly more than one, Holmes could be the odd man out. Yes, he brings some versatility and has history with defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, but that only counts for so much. And there's one name in particular that should make Holmes nervous: Jayden Barone. If the Raiders land him, Holmes's days as the starter could be numbered. Let's start with Tyree Wilson, the former first-round pick who came into the NFL with sky-high expectations. But now, he's facing one of the biggest off-seasons of his career. Drafted 7th overall, Tyree was supposed to be a cornerstone of the Raiders' defense. But as he heads into his 3rd coaching regime, the pressure is mounting. If he can't turn things around under defensive coordinator Rob Leonard, the Raiders may have no choice but to move on. What's worrying is the direction the team is taking. They re-signed Malcolm Kuntz, brought back Adam Butler, and have been eyeing edge rushers and defensive tackles in pre-draft visits. This clearly shows that Las Vegas is serious about revamping the trenches, and Tyree is right in the middle of that shift. Year 3 is usually when top picks either break out or fade out. Tyree's had the opportunities. Now it's time to deliver, or risk being labeled a wasted pick. But no one is under more pressure than DJ Glaze. Glaze showed toughness and versatility last year, proving he could hold his own at offensive tackle. But with rumors swirling that the Raiders are targeting top-tier linemen like Amarius Mims or Will Campbell, Glaze might find himself pushed out, not because of poor performance, but because of the team's future plans. And let's not forget about Kolton Miller. If the Raiders draft a right tackle, it's possible Miller shifts spots to make room. But Glaze, he's not the one getting protected in that situation. He's the one at risk of losing his starting job. This isn't about failure. Glaze did well for a rookie. But when a team values offensive line depth this much, even solid players can find themselves on the outside looking in. That's why DJ Glaze sits at the top of the list of Raiders with the most to lose heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. Now, we move to a big one. Tyree Wilson at defensive end. Next on our list of Raiders under pressure.